the more you get to know it, the more you appreciate how unique it is of all the little communities along the Gulf Coast. And it's really all comes down to the history of the town and the way it was established in 1831, and it has a design that's still just remarkably evident today, and it's beautiful.
Apalachicola is a historically important, authentic town that can still be saved. And what makes Apalachicola so precious is not just its history, but the fact that it has one of the, if not the only, largely intact plats of that era that still is in existence.
That was Bonnie Davis and Diane Brewer, and they are on a mission to restore the history to historic Apalachicola. You wouldn't know it today, but the quaint Bayside town was designed with public squares.
I always was very aware of Gorrie Square here, because I grew up in this house and because of Gorrie, you know.
That gentleman is Willoughby Marshall. He spent his childhood in the waterfront town during the 1920s through early 40s.
As a kid, I remember there were several seafood canneries along the coast downtown, and they may have canned oysters or shrimp or what, and there were several brands. I remember one brand was called the Country Club brand, and it was packed with little shrimp, and you know, I was a pretty young kid at the time, but I remember that.
As an architecture student in the 1940s, he discovered the resemblance of Apalachicola's city plan to that of early Philadelphia.
I was aware that there were 4 squares in the town and a central square, and didn't really sink in until I was in college and learned that Philadelphia had, as I said, the same plan and many of the same street names and squares, and 4 squares and a diagonal square just like this. And I knew that Philadelphia didn't copy Apalachicola because it was too damned old, you know, and this was new by comparison. So that's where our plan came from.
Now a retired architect, in the mid-1970s he published a study on Apalachicola and the economic benefits of historic preservation.
HUD was sponsoring studies around the country of various cities, and I was in Cambridge, Mass at the time. My office was there, and so I thought Apalachicola would be a very interesting town to include in. So I jumped into the ring and got funding to do this, and that's how my interest started in what was available today and what we could do with it, and et cetera.
A few early pictures of the town show some of the wide public spaces still intact, like Gorrie Square with the historic Trinity Episcopal Church. And that brings us back to the mission to save the squares.
The theme that will protect Apalachicola and keep it authentic is to protect the plat. That is the template for Philadelphia, but that is not the only town in America that used that same program. But most of them have been obliterated by development, so you cannot see their plat. You can see it in Apalachicola, it's naked. You can see it as a beautifully restored project in Savannah. And what has really made them not be squares, like in the style of Savannah, is that in the 1920s, with the coming of the automobile, the city allowed streets to cross these squares, becoming intersections, which means of the 6 squares, all of them except one has streets running through it. So they're not squares anymore.
People are very much interested in preservation and in old architecture and in city plans, especially old city plans. And I saw how this could very much be an attraction around the country and could help bring life back into the town.
The effort to save the squares and protect the plat has been a long, slow road, but progress has been made. And another milestone was recently reached. A group of students from the WFSU College of Engineering, along with the Genesis Hoff engineering firm, has chosen restoration of Chapman Square as their senior design project for the coming year.
The key to Apalachicola's future prosperity lies in preserving its history, because that's what makes it unique and makes people want to come to our festivals and poke around and just enjoy the ambience of it.
Heritage tourists stay longer and spend more money, according to this study, than tourists are going to come and go to the beach for the weekend. And they come because Apalachicola, as one of the many examples, they come because it is authentic. Now, as beautiful as Seaside is, it is a replica of what Apalachicola authentically is. So the next phase of Apalachicola's prosperity is from heritage tourism.
I mean, I'm a historical preservation nut, but there's such a clear tie in this instance between historical preservation and economic prosperity that even if you're not interested in it, there's a good reason to pursue it. I just don't think there are many places in Florida left like that, and this one is really worth preserving.
In Apalachicola, for WFSU Public Media, I'm Mike Plummer. If you would like to support local public programming like this story you have just seen, go to WFSU.org and click on the Donate button.